Bro, is this real? Hold up. Wait. Hang on. Hang on. Ed was on Mr. Beast again. That's crazy. That's insane, bro. Holy shit. Damn. He was on one of their videos before as well. Really? God damn, bro. This is why I've been like, I haven't like seen Ed anywhere. Like, he's been missing for a bit. Like, I haven't seen any updates from him. I haven't really seen him live. I was like, what's he been up to? And then, like, the first, like, post I see in a fucking minute is him showing that he was in a Mr. Beast video. And I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, damn. Holy moly. Yeah, that's kind of crazy, bro. All right. Yeah, kidnapped by Mr. Beasto. He streamed a few days ago? Okay. Walking with only Mion to school made me miss Rena a lot. Oh shit, you're right. The tip. Chat, we're on the fucking... We're about to see some crazy shit happen, I think, this chapter. It's about to go down, by the way. Last night.
もう明日なのです。
ん？ああ、私たちの命日？
今回も同じ顛末なのです。
そうかしら。よく似てるけど、いろいろと違うところもあったわ。圭一、前のことを覚えてたし。
そんなことはありえないのです。覚えているわけ、いや、知っているわけはないのです。
あんたが絶対にありえないと言ってくれればくれるほど。
どうせ今回もおしまいです。
おしまいか。
もうすぐ終わる。全部終わる。そう。日暮らしの泣く頃に。
Oh my god. Was it all going to end anyway? The more often you throw a die, the closer the total will get to the average. When you throw a die 100 times, even if a miracle happens and you get a 6 twice or 3 times in a row, the total will average out in the end. That's a fact of statistics. But when you throw a die 100 times, the total number ranges from 100 to 600. The more you throw, the greater the likelihood that the number will converge on the average. But the truth is, the more you throw, the more possible outcomes you create. There are 500 different futures you can create by throwing a die 100 times. There are 5,000 different futures you can create by throwing a die 1,000 times. There might be one future among them that enables you to actually finish this never-ending game of dice. Keiichi showed me a miracle, and it taught me that it's not a waste of effort to keep throwing the die. Don't give in to something like an average.
イラつく背中を見せるわね。どうせ今回もダメだろうって、そういう。私だってどうせダメだろうと思ってる。でもね、最後のサイコロを投げるまで私は諦めない。圭一が教えてくれた今回は何かが違うの。
Yeah, I mean, I'm still wondering why Keiichi died at the end of the Shion route as well, but I think that one was like not. He only died at the end of the path that we tried to save save Shion, right? And that was like the fake ending. So I don't think that one like really counted. So, yeah. Did he die in both? How did he die in the other, the true route, chat? I don't remember. No, him dying on the bench was the wrong route. He died at the hospital bed. Oh, yeah. Why? Why did he die in the hospital bed? No, not the bench one where, like, he's with Shion and then, like, you know, it comes, or Mion, and comes back and there's, like, it screams she's dead. Heart attack? Yeah, I don't get that one. I don't get that one at all. Doesn't really make much sense.
だから、それを信じてみる。
リカは本当に強いのです。
まあね。あんたよりはずっと若いし。
リカ？みー、こんな時間に起きてて、夜更かしはダメでございましてよ。ごめんなさいなのです。寝苦しかったので星を見ていただけなのですよ。もう寝ますです。そうなさいませ。おやすみ、リカ。おやすみなのです、さとこ。
Well, shit. I'm assuming this is the last chapter then. Bloodhouse, looking for the 29! Walking only me onto school made me miss Rena a lot.
どうしたのさ、ケイちゃん。さっきからキョロキョロしてさ。
なんでもないよ。
It was the same old path to school, but I felt nervous for some reason. I wonder what Rena meant that when she said she was going to win a come from behind victory last night. I couldn't stop feeling like something dangerous was going to happen. Rena thought Mion was one of her enemies. She could be lying in wait to attack Mion with a knife.
大丈夫だって。レナがそんな短絡的なことをするわけないよ。まあ仮にそうでも自分の身くらい守れるからね。
Mion said it brightly as if trying to tell me she wasn't afraid of anything. But I couldn't be optimistic like her because I knew exactly what Rena was going through. Rena must be determined by now, and she probably wouldn't mind dying fighting against Mion if she wasn't going to win anyway. Of course, that didn't mean she was definitely going to take violent action. But I couldn't deny the possibility either.
それよりおじさんが気にかかるのは、どうしてレナが急に変になっちゃったのか、その理由の方だね。
Was there any reason? I remembered the tragedy. I couldn't remember what made the world go crazy, but I remember we got lost in that awfully scary world. It started with small things, and those small things continued to pile up one after another. If you thought about it calmly, you'd laugh because it was really stupid, a really stupid thing. But once those little tiny stupid things started to bother you, you couldn't ignore them. It was that kind of a disease, if you could call it one. But there must have been a reason. There must have been a reason that made the world go crazy. But it must be such a small thing that you couldn't even notice. And unfortunately, the reason was very difficult to understand, and you wouldn't be able to figure it out until you died.
親戚にお医者がいてね、ちょっと聞いてみたんだけど。
Game's too loud? It's kind of quiet for me.
脳とかに腫瘍ができて、たまたまそれが珍しいところだったりすると、性格が急に変わったり、普段と別人みたいになってしまうことがあったりするんだって。大昔はこの病気が悪魔つきや狐つきなんて呼ばれて、オカルト的に脚色されてたこともあるんだってさ。
ってことはつまり脳という体の一部に起きた肉体的な病気ってわけか。
Yeah, she's dumb.
今回に関しては精神的と捉えてもいいかもしれないね。レナはリナ鉄平殺しの後かなり動揺していて、 心が不安定になってた時期があった。そんな時期に大石のバカタレが富武さんたちの事件を大げさに吹き込むもんだから。
大石さんって人もさ、高野さんのスクラップ帳に少し似てるとこがあるかもな。
へえ、どの辺が？
なんていうのかな、ひなみ沢村連続開始事件というものが存在しているというあたりについて盲信しているというか。現に5年連続で起こってるのにこんなことを言うのもなんだけど、俺さ、もともと連続事件なんて存在しないんじゃないかって思ってる。
It was true that the mysterious incidents happened 5 years in a row, but they were each solved individually. It was the same as a past you didn't need to talk about. We thought of them as a series of mysterious deaths, which is why we thought something was going to happen this year too. It led us to think that there was a conspiracy, and that the Sonozaki family was behind it. We connected those things to the series of mysterious deaths, but we couldn't do that in the first place. Just like I tried to keep my distance from Rena when I found out about her dark past. Wasn't everybody trying to keep their distance from the dark past of Hinamizawa? Takano-san's scrapbooks are a good example. She dramatized both recent incidents and old cruel history, and she made feasible stories out of them, saying that the Sonozaki family was behind it all. Oishi-san did the same thing too. He was so convinced that the Sonozaki family was behind it all that it was making him interpret things the wrong way. In that sense, we could say Oishi-san believed in the same delusion as Rena. Well, he did.
その辺にはさ、何かあるごとに黒幕のように振る舞う園崎家の責任もあるんじゃねえのかな。この村では何かおかしなことがあれば全て園崎家の暗躍。それで決着をつけられてしまう魔法の言葉になっちゃってるんだよ。例えて言えばほら、この世の現象は全てプラズマで説明できるみたいな感じだよ。
ほー、つまりそれは何を？園崎家が全部悪いってわけ？
そうだ、お前が全部悪い。よってお前の名前は今日からプラズマミオンと呼ぶ。うわ、なんだかレスラーみたいな名前だな。
はあはあ、プロレスラー大いに結構。そうだケイちゃん、コブラツイストって知ってる？
やめろ、このクソ熱いのに絡みつくな。いてててやー。
おはようございますですわ、ケイチさん。おはようなのです。
And nobody's dead yet. Satoku and Rika-chan looked a little sad when they saw only the two of us. If the three of us came to school together like always, they would have been really happy. But our classmates were as noisy as usual. Nobody seemed to make a big deal about Rena's absence. Chie-sensei was going to be here soon and she'd start morning homeroom. Everyone was fooling around as if they didn't want to miss a second of the time until then.
ねえ、今日は臭い。窓閉めて。
バーカ、窓を閉めたらもっと暑くなるんだよ。
It smelled like gasoline or something. It really stank. Someone from the forestry service must have been putting gasoline into the construction equipment or something. Is Rena trying to fucking burn down the schoolhouse? Some students near the windows were making a fuss because they wanted to close the windows to shut out the smell. Our school wasn't a normal school compared to others. We were using a part of this forestry service building. Unusual things like this happen sometimes.
いやいや、こんなの大したことないって。いつだったかな、貝塚いぶきを剪定した枝葉をトラック山盛り何杯分か運び込んできたことがあってさ、あれはひどかった。あの独特の刺激臭は頭痛を起こさせるよね。
貝塚いぶきって何ですの？お野菜の名前なのです。たまにカレーに入ってますのですよ。
今度スーパーに行ったら探してみろ。
よくわかんないけど、最初はリカとケイチさんに毒味をさせた方が良さそうでございますわね。
あれ、俺たちのボールがねえ。王女、お前がまた隠したんだろう。
boys seemed to be looking for their ball for a while and they yelled at Satoko.
誰がそんなものを隠しますの？どうせ隠すならもう少し気の利いたものを隠しましたよ。
ほらほら、先生来たよ。みんな席に着きな。
Oh boy.
はい、皆さん席についてください。
Kept thinking about Rena the whole time during class. I thought about what she said last night. I wonder what her come from behind victory means. Bro, you look fat. I'm not fat. What? I'm not fat at all. You fucko. According to Takano's delusions, the mastermind behind the bioterrorism were the three families and a group of fanatical believers that controlled those three. In other words, the Sonozaki family. What could Rena do alone against them? Mion lived with her grandmother, the leader of the Sonozaki family. There were only two of them in the house. It was possible that Rena would try to break into their house with a knife. But I'd already come up with that possibility last night. That's why I called Mion and warned her. On the way to school this morning, Mion told me some bodyguards from the corps have been at her house since this morning. She told me she'd be guarded herself too. There was a black car parked near the school gate. They must have been the bodyguards. But according to Takano's parasite theory, the battle wouldn't end just by attacking the leader of the Sonozaki family. According to the delusion she believes in, the condition of her victory were more complicated than that. She needed to expose the group of fanatics who were behind the Sonozaki family. And she needed to destroy their research on the parasite. Plus, Rena didn't have much time left, thanks to that suspicious poison she mentioned. But how exactly could she win or come from behind a victory under circumstances like that? She might interpret that the town council are the group of fanatics. If so, she might attack them the next time they are having a meeting in the shrine. The town council meets once a month at most. It would be hard to believe that they were holding a meeting today. She probably thought the place of researching the parasite is the idiot clinic. Rena suspected that there was something fishy about the clinic from the beginning, and that suspicion must have changed to certainty in her head by now. Did that mean she was going to attack the clinic? This wasn't like an action movie. What could she do all by herself? Was she going to start a fire? No, that would be pointless. In order to expose the conspiracy, she'd have to get proof that they were actually studying the parasite. Was she going to break into the clinic and get questionable, weird samples? The last problem of all was how much time she had left. And she believed she didn't have much time left, especially under desperate disadvantageous conditions. She might try to stab whoever she thought of as an enemy. Holy fuck, bro, I couldn't read that. But Rena sounded like she really believed she would regain her happiness and peaceful days after everything was over. Rena probably meant she was going to stay alive and win. Was there something like an antidote? It didn't have to be real. As long as it was an antidote to Rena's delusions, it didn't matter what it was. It could even be the water you washed your vegetables with. But if she thought she could get the antidote so easily, she wouldn't have been so desperate about the time she has left. The antidote must be difficult for her to get. The easiest place for her in her delusion was that it was hidden somewhere in the clinic. Putting it all together like that, I felt like Idia and his clinic were in danger. Now that I thought about it, the elderly people in the village, including the member of the town council, hung out in the waiting room of the clinic all the time. If most of the board members happened to gather there for her, it'd be the perfect place to attack. I told Mion about that during lunch break.
普段ならそんなバカなって言いたいところだけど、その可能性を全く否定できなくもないからね。本家に電話してみるよ。診療所にも人を配置するように言っとく。
Mion didn't object to my crazy idea. She put down her chopsticks and went to the teacher's office to make a phone call.
先ほどからなんだか物騒な話でございますけど、本当にレナさんがそんな恐ろしいことをなさいますの？診療所を襲うなんて信じられませんわ。
するかもしれない。しないかもしれない。でもな、怒っちまったらおしまいなんだよ。惨劇に抗うってことは、起こさないように戦うってことなんだから。
何事もないことを 祈りたいのです。
This is emo. I'm gonna go with the positive.
わかりました。若いのを2人ほど診療所に送ります。
I didn't even save, bro. I'm going it. I'm going with it.
まさかとは思うけどね。何をやらかすか分かったもんじゃない。
姿を見たら直ちに引っ捕らえてしまって構いませんか？
本当は嫌なんだけどな。どうしようね。
先日の会合で竜宮レナを確保して警察に引き渡すことで決着しています。ですので引っ捕らえても一応筋は通ります。
うちの対面じゃなくてレナの心情的に気の毒だなってこと。できたら本当に静かに決着したいんだけどね。
まあお若いですから、人さえ殺さなければ大抵はごめんなさいで済みますよ。
Oh, Kasai. Oh, you poor soul. You don't know anything. Mion's like, yeah.
じゃあアウトかもだ。
いえいえ、見つからなければセーフですから。
Oh, okay. No, Kasai does know. Okay.
セーフ。沖宮の界隈ではあの二人の失踪を気にする者はいません。
Damn. Okay, Teppei and Rina, huh? They just don't matter.
何かのヤバい話を踏んで夜逃げしたんだろうということになっています。あの程度のゴロつき、次から次へです。ですからセーフ。
アウトだのセーフだの、私ら野球拳でもやってるわけ？まあいいや。それじゃあくれぐれもよろしくお願いします。
了解しました。では引っ捕らえてよろしいんですね。
ちゃんとタッチアウトにするんだよ。クロスプレーなんかにしないようによろしく頼みます。
Oh boy. And now we will watch how a 13-year-old girl somehow outsmarts an entire group of Yakuza members. When I put the phone down, I sensed Chia-sensei was looking at me. No wonder, as she had been able to hear the conversation clearly in this tiny room. Chia-sensei put her spoon down, and with a sad look on her face, she asked the following.
今の電話は竜宮さんをめぐる話ですか？まあ、はい。園崎さん、竜宮さんはどうして家出をしちゃったんでしょう？
Teppei got fucking hatcheted in the face by Rena.
お友達として何か知ってはいませんか？
It was hard for anyone to understand Rena's situation except for me and Kei-chan. So most of them thought that Rena just ran away from home. But after she did, the cops made too much of a fuss. What is this? Bro, just linked me at Arknight's PV. Moichi stupidly believed that scrapbooks were a big scoop and he overreacted and tried to find Rena. He had patrol cars running around everywhere in this village. He even used the town council's phone directory to find her. So people in the village thought Rena did something wrong and was trying to run from the cops. What was going to be difficult for me more than finding her was to make up a story to retrieve Rena's honor after they detained her. What about this? Rena went for a walk, fell down and hit her head on the edge of some tofu and lost her memory. Oishi misunderstood something big time and he thought she was a criminal. It's too easy. Maybe we did make it clear that Oishi was the one who Maybe we make it clear that Oishi was the one who misunderstood everything at the meeting the other day. I had to make the best use of his name while he was feeling down for once. What I'd have to do was not to make a big deal about the situation, and to create an environment that allowed Rena to forget everything that happened in order to get her life back together as soon as possible.
大丈夫ですよ、先生。レナは今ちょっと病気になってるだけです。それを警察の某ベテラン刑事が素敵に勘違いして話をややこしくしただけです。
Oh, come on, man. Don't do our boy Oishi like that.
まさか先生、レナが悪いことをして逃走中なんて信じちゃいないですよね。それはもちろんですけど、でも家出することによってご家族におかけしている迷惑を考えれば悪くないということはありません。
She had a fight with her father and she ran away from home for a little while. He acted childish and that's all. Maybe that's the best story to go with.
何か悩みがあったのでしょうか。 それに気づけなかった私は教師失格ですね。一度竜宮さんとじっくりお話がしたかったです。
先生、ちょっとヘビーに考えすぎです。もうちょっとリラックスリラックス。プチ家出なんて今時珍しくないですって。は
あ、竜宮さんがこのまま不良になってしまって悪いことを始めたらどうしましょう。
Chia Sensei, she already killed 2 adults. Ryuga-san becomes a bad kid. She does something bad and gets arrested by the police. It's her teacher's responsibility. I'll be dishonorably discharged. I can't eat curry anymore. I'm dead. Chia Sensei seemed comically upset by her own imagination. It looked funny, so I decided to leave her alone. I made to the teacher's office to go back to the classroom, but right then the phone rang.
はい、もしもし。ひなみ沢文庫でございます。
Chia Sensei had to answer the phone all day today because the principal was on a business trip. I exited the hallway, then I heard the tone of her voice change.
今どこにいるんですか？
What? I yelled and looked back at her. It was probably Rena. She called the school. I tried to go back inside the teacher's office, but Chia Sensei gestured at me not to come in. Chia Sensei acknowledged what Rena was saying several times, and then she looked up at the clock.
わかりました。今からすぐ行きます。先生との約束ですよ。
She said only that, put the phone down, and got her purse out of her locker.
院長、先生は休養ができました。しばらく表へ出ますので、みんなを自習させてください。
She took her car key out from her purse. It was obvious that she was going to see Rena somewhere.
先生、今の電話はレナ？
以上です。よろしく頼みますよ、院長。
Chia Sensei completely ignored me and she ran out into the hallway. She ran to the schoolyard and got into her car. The moment her car left through the gate, I ran out of the schoolyard myself. I headed for the black car parked near the gate and knocked on the
お
window.
疲れ様です。今のところ異常ありません。
あー、違う。今出て行った先生の車を追って。多分行く先にレナがいる。
了解っす。
レナは警戒心が強いから注意してね。捕まえたら有無を言わさずに本家放り込んで葛西の指示に従うこと。私の友人だよ。怪我なんかさせたら許さないからね。
Rena must have told Chia Sensei that she wants to talk to her alone. I could tell that easily from the way she ignored my question. I did feel a little bad for ruining the promise, but it was very important that we caught her before she did something wrong. We could still make up an excuse that she was just wandering around because she had a fight with her father and ran away from home. But if she set fire to the clinic or something, there would be nothing I could do. The car made a rough U-turn on the gravel road and it chased after Chia Sensei's car at full speed. I watched the car until it was gone. All I could do now was to pray that this would be settled calmly. Unless Rena's baiting them away.
みんな敬中。午後の授業は自習になったよ。というわけでおとなしく席について何かやること。
自習？
Mion ran up to me and spoke quietly.
レナから電話があった。
え、本当か？
うん。ついさっき職員室に電話が。千恵先生が指定された場所に会いに行ったみたい。
レナのやつ、一体どういうつもりなんだ？
わかんない。とにかくうちの車に先生の後を追わせてる。レナには悪いけど、そこで踏んづかまえる。
うまくいくといいな。
荒事には慣れてる連中だよ。任せとこ
う。じゃあ捕まえれば一件落着なのか？
だね。そしたらとりあえず病院に放り込むよ。きっと専門の医者が見たらなんだってくらいに典型的な何かの病気だよ、きっと。強迫性、心因性、ストレスなんたらとか、多分そんな感じのやつ。
While we were spending our afternoon studying peacefully, the members of the Sonozaki family would capture Rena, who was waiting for Chia Sensei somewhere. The problem would be solved. It wasn't going to be easy after that, but I was sure Mion would take good care of her. And in the end, everybody would understand that Rena just ran away from home because of a silly fight with her father. A happy ending.
一件落着でしょ。
Mion winked at me. She looked like she already thought everything was over, but that just didn't sound right to me. Couldn't see any connection between Rena and Chia-sensei. It was hard to explain, but there was something wrong. I wasn't saying that they didn't get along. Rena was a good student, so Chia-sensei had a good relationship with her. But I just didn't understand what Rena wanted from Chia-sensei. While I was thinking about it, the door opened and one of our classmates came back from the bathroom. With Rena.
レナ。
みんな起立起立。教室の真ん中に集まって。
Everyone gasped in surprise. Even Chia-sensei couldn't make everybody go so quiet all of a sudden. Rena was gripping the shoulder of the student who came back from the bathroom. In her other hand, she had a big, scary-looking hatchet. It was the same one she had the other night. Everyone immediately understood that Rena had taken a hostage.
みんな聞こえてない？教室の真ん中に集まって。机は周りにどけちゃってね。
Nobody grasped what she was asking us to do. We all froze. Rena was the only one who was smiling. It was
み
terrifying.
ーちゃん、委員長でしょ？みんなに指示して。
レナ、あんた何をやってんの？
A loud noise washed out Mion's voice. Rena hit the teacher's desk really hard with her hatchet. She pulled out the hatchet, making an ominous ripping noise. There was now a line of violence carved plainly into the desk. Uh-oh. She broke it. Chia-sensei is going to get mad when she comes back. No, that wasn't it? What the hell?
みーちゃんはやっぱりダメだね。じゃあケイチくんに頼むよ。ケイチくんだけは最後まで私の仲間なんだよね。だから信じていいんだよね。
Rena, your eyes, you look so scary. I've never seen eyes like that in my life. Your eyes are full of insanity. Why are people afraid of insanity? Insanity means that a person doesn't share the same values and the same common sense as us. For example, say a thief breaks into your house and he ties you up. You'll get scared and wonder if he's going to stab you before he leaves. But you hope that the thief has feelings too and that he's not going to kill you for no reason. No matter how bad the person is, we tend to believe in his goodwill as long as we share the same values, the same common sense, and the same morals as him. But we can't expect goodwill from somebody who doesn't have those things. We can't expect goodwill from a person who can't communicate with us. When a burglar has a knife and you beg him not to hurt you, you expect him to listen to you and to show you mercy. In other words, you can still communicate with him. But if he doesn't have the ability to communicate, he's just like a monster that's trying to attack you, or like the blade of a guillotine that's falling down on you. You fear him because you can't communicate with him. That's insanity. It was the same fear we were feeling towards Rena at this very moment. She looked like a human just like us, but there was no room for her to communicate with us like a normal person would do. Everybody understood that fear
ケイチく
instinctively.
ん、机をどけさせて教室の真ん中に広場を作って。
わかった。みんな、レナが言うのに従おう。
Rena was like a barrel of gunpowder at that moment. She seemed really calm and quiet, but she could explode any minute. When she did, I doubt she'd show us any mercy. She probably wouldn't hesitate to use that hatchet on us. Hey, Argor, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Thank you. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. That's right, just like how I didn't feel guilty or hesitate to kill Rena and Mion. Oh boy. Everybody went quiet, all while pushing the desk against the wall to make space where Rena wanted it. Rena, saying that we're moving too slowly, hit the blackboard with the hatchet, making a horrible noise. Every time she did that, she left an equally horrible scar on the blackboard, the thing that we looked at most in school.
じゃあケイチくん、みんなのロッカーから縄跳びを出してもらえるかな。それを使ってみんなを後ろ手で縛ってね。
俺、縛るのとか下手くそなんだよ。多分上手に縛れないぞ。
後でちゃんと縛れているか全員のを調べる。
Oh my god. What is her plan here?
ゆるい人はその場で殺しちゃうから、しっかり縛ってあげてね。
We were still kids, we saw the word kill all the time. It was used a lot in comic books and cartoons after all, so normally you'd assume we'd be using the word, used to hearing the word kill. But when Rena said she'd kill us, it sounds so frightening. I never heard something like that before in my life. To Rena, our lives were like cards she could use for negotiation. She'd get rid of one card every time somebody refused her request. Get rid of? Damn it, why did we use such a scary word like get rid of, for example, for simple things like playing cards? Anyway, there were about 20 students in the class. That was a little bit too many for Rena to handle. She might get rid of one or two just to set an example. I decided to do what Rena said because I didn't want her to lose her temper. I got out everybody's jump ropes from their lockers.
じゃあみんな、床にうつ伏せになってね。ケイチくんは後ろ手にどんどん縛っていって。きっちり縛るんだよ。ケイチくんは私の味方だもん。だから、わざとゆるくなんか縛ったりしない。ね。
Mion tried to make eye contact with me. If everybody was tied down, we wouldn't be able to stop her from occupying the school. There were more than 20 students in this class. Half of them were boys, but most of them were smaller than Rena. But there were enough people here to overpower her. But if we did that, Rena would probably hit her hostage with the hatchet. And if she'd use the hatchet to attack the rest of us without hesitation, it'd be a bloody battle. I'm sure somebody would get hurt if we tried to overpower her. The hostage would be seriously injured, or maybe even die. If that happens, it was over. No matter how hard we tried to cover up, she'd never be able to live peacefully like before. Mion seemed to understand that too. I could tell from Rena's eyes that she wasn't going to go easy on us. If somebody showed defiance, she'd break the hostage's head open immediately. Of course, Rena had done that before. She'd probably do it again with no hesitation. But as long as we did what she said, we could prevent that bloody tragedy. If we could somehow solve the situation without shedding any blood, with Mion's influence, we might still be able to pretend that this never happened. At the least, we had to make sure she didn't kill anyone.
従おう。ケイちゃん。
Mion tried to think of ways to overpower Rena, but she couldn't come up with any good ideas to save the hostage. That's how easy it would be for Rena to kill them. The best thing to do at that time was to wait for a chance without agitating her further. Mion lay down on the floor and everyone else followed suit, sluggish with terror. I was left alone, standing rooted to the spot with jump ropes in my hand. All my classmates were lying face down on the floor while Rena was pointing the hatchet at the hostage, watching our every move from behind the teacher's desk. I just stood frozen in the middle of it all.
ケイチくんにはまだまだ手伝ってもらうことがたくさんあるの。だから早くして。あんまり時間がかかると何人かが死んでしまうかもしれない。
Some of the little kids started crying when they heard the word
大
die.
丈夫だよみんな。ケイチくんがきっと助けてくれるから。だからきっと誰も殺されないよ。
Damn it, what a bold threat. She said I was her friend, but she was just playing with the meaning of the word. I was the last person who could still fight against Rena under these circumstances, but it wasn't going to be easy to overpower her by myself. I wasn't sure if I could do that. Even if I tried to act tough, once Rena pointed the hatchet at somebody's neck, it was over. I shouldn't fight against her for now. I should just wait for a chance. As long as Rena was alone, there would be a chance. She made me tie them up because she couldn't do that by herself. There was a limit to what she could do because she was by herself. If we could cover this up somehow before Chia-sensei came back, we'd still be able to pretend like we were kidding around. Finally realized something. I realized why Rena called Chia-sensei to meet with her. In order for Rena to take over the classroom, she needed to get rid of Chia-sensei. Chia-sensei had a very strong sense of justice. Even if Rena had a gun, she wouldn't hesitate to overpower her. She was the kind of teacher who would risk her life for her students. Rena needed to figure out how to get rid of Chia-sensei. That was the key to the plan. Rena probably thought about attacking her from behind at first, but there was risk there, as Chia-sensei was a grown-up woman, so she probably thought that attacking her directly wasn't a wise choice. So naturally, the next option was to lure her out somewhere. Rena called Chia-sensei and told her she wanted to talk to her in private in order to lure her out to some place far from here. Most people, including Chia-sensei, thought Rena was just running away from home, so Chia-sensei must have thought Rena had some problem she wanted to talk to her about. It was too easy to deceive her. Where did she make the phone call from? She probably used the phone in the school. Well, not in school to be exact. She probably used the phone on the second floor of the school, the one belonging to the forestry service. The school was using part of the forestry service building, but this particular location was more of a branch office. So it's not like somebody was here all the time. Rena knew that, and she'd probably been hiding there for a while. She called the phone on the first floor from the second floor, and she made Chie-sensei leave the school. I didn't think it was a coincidence that the principal was on a business trip today. She probably snuck into school yesterday. She saw the principal's schedule, learned how to call the phone on the first floor from the second, and carried out her plan. She planned it perfectly. Yeah, I knew it. Rena was insane, but I knew she was actually really calm. She was possessed by her delusion, but she was also unbelievably calm about it, so she could still think fast. I knew that very well because I'd been through the same thing before. What was worse is that Mion's bodyguards were gone. Mion told them to follow Chie-sensei because she thought Chie-sensei was going to meet with Rena. Damn it, everything seemed to be working out in her favor.
しまったぞ。
I tied up the last person and looked in Rena's direction. If I didn't tie them up really tightly, Rena would kill them. But when I tied them too tightly, they suffered in pain. Their pain, the cries made me feel useless.
ありがとう、ケイチくん。ケイチくんを疑りはしないけど、一応全員を調べるね。ケイチくんは頭の上で手を組んで、これは全員に言うけど、私の断りなく立ち上がったら殺す。本人も殺すし、見せしめでランダムにもう一人殺す。ランダムじゃよくないね。じゃあこうしよう。言うことを聞かなかった子と出席番号に銃を加えた子を殺すにしよう。例えば岡村くんが言うことを聞かなかったとする。そうすると出席番号11番渡辺くんが一緒に殺されちゃう。わかる？常に2人死ぬの。歯向かっても自分の命一つじゃ責任が取れないってこと、よーく胸に刻んでおくんだよ。
How awful. She totally understood how to threaten people. Yeah, but what if you're number 20? Right? There's only 20 students. You had 10. There's no number 30. So that doesn't mean number 20 can go and it doesn't risk a second person? She totally understood how to threaten people. Normally, you stand against an attacker at your own risk. If you fail, you're going to die. But if you were responsible for someone else, you couldn't try to resist. You can't risk somebody's life with your own decisions.
全員ちゃんと縛れてるね。ケイチくん、縛るの下手くそって言ってたけど、自信持っていいよ。じゃあ、ケイチくんは立って。
It's too late to fight back. I followed her orders. I just had to wait for a chance. We could still turn this into some kind of bad joke. I had to do something. Anyway, what were you planning to do, Rena? Don't tell me this is the come from behind victory you were talking about. I don't know where she goes from here, bro. Unless she's using the whole school as hostages and tried to get these quote-unquote fucking...
沖宮 TS より全社へ。沖宮 TS より全社へ。ひなみ沢営林署にて籠城事件発生。人質多数。全社は至急ひなみ沢営林署へ向かわれたし。
クマちゃん、遅れて申し訳ない。状況は？
ご苦労様っす。本日午後1時頃、ひなみ沢営林署内のひなみ沢分校区画にて教室占拠が発生しました。当時教室にいた生徒25名全員が拘束されている模様。犯人側の第一要求は営林署敷地内への一切の立ち入りの禁止と当保へのホットラインの確保です。
ってことは初めっから警察と交渉する気ってことですか。どういうつもりだ。
あと犯人は交渉人に大石さんを指名してます。犯人は竜宮玲奈。
竜宮さんが？わかりました。いいですよ。とことんお付き合いさせてもらいましょう。
She gave a crooked smile.
竜宮玲奈以外に犯人がいるか不明です。カーテンが閉められているので状況も一切確認できていません。
通報者に選挙時の様子は聞いてませんか？
いえ、竜宮玲奈からの直接の犯行声明でした。よって内部の状況は一切不明。担任は犯行直前に竜宮玲奈の電話呼び出しを受け、遠方に呼び出された間の犯行でした。
計画的ですね。営林署側の人間は人質には？
今日は営林署職員は不在でした。よって生徒25名のみ。生徒数は担任が出席簿で確認した人数です。
それプラス犯人ってわけか。竜宮玲奈以外に犯人らしき人影は？
いえ、何度かカーテンから覗く人影がありましたが、いずれも竜宮玲奈本人でした。ですが規模他を考えて、おそらく最低でももう一人二人はいると予想されます。
単独犯かもしれませんよ。
Rena Ryugu was a true believer in Mio Takuno's scrapbooks. According to those scrapbooks, the entire village was Rena Ryugu's enemy. She didn't have anyone she can trust. However, Oishi had also believed in Mio Takuno's delusions. It's possible that someone who was influenced in the same way was following Rena Ryugu.
おいさん、校長と担任です。
ああ、どうもどうも、千恵先生。大丈夫ですか
Oishi ran up to Chie-sensei, who was crying with a handkerchief held up to her
り
face.
なちゃんはとても真面目ないい子なんです。こんなことをするなんて何かの間違いに決まっています。
マニュアル通りなら最近の竜宮さんの状況についてお聞きするところなんですがね。多分竜宮さんに限っては先生より私の方が詳しいように思います。まあ気を落とされずになんとか穏便に解決しますからご安心を。
Chie-sensei was huddled over and Oishi didn't think he could say anything else to her. On the contrary, the principal was staying strong, trying to figure out how to take care of the situation.
大石殿、もしできるなら人質の交換を申し出たい。ぜひ私と子供たちを交換していただきたい。
校長先生、それは私がやります。私が悪いんです。
先生方、どうかご自分を責められないでください。先生方には校内の状況についていろいろとお聞きしたいことがありますので、ご協力をお願いいたします。ボンチ君、図面の方で話を聞いてあげてください。
失礼します。1号車の無線に高杉課長です。
はいはい、もしもし。大石だ。
大石さん、ご苦労さん。状況の大体は熊谷君に聞いたよ。犯人は未成年だそうだね。マスコミ規制の方を厳重に頼むよ。
分かってます。あと犯人側が私を交渉人に指定してきてるようですが、問題ありませんかね。
竜宮玲奈の件は先日の寄生虫の話以来よく知ってる。その流れなら犯人は君のことをまだ味方だと思ってくれているんだと思う。大石君以外には務まらない。くれぐれもよろしく頼むよ。
本当はすっごく嫌なんですがね。ちょっと今回はいろいろとお騒がせした責任を感じてますので、罪滅ぼしに一つお引き受けさせていただきます。
Tsumihoroboshi? That's the title.
おいさん、車載電話に犯人です。竜宮玲奈です。
早速ご指名の電話が来ました。早速出ることにします。ありがとう。はい、もしもし、大石です。
大石さんですか？どうも、竜宮です。
Oh shit. We red as fuck, boy. Oh boy.
どうもどうも。大石です。
車載電話って電波とかが悪いんですか？たまにちょっと聞こえにくくなりますね。
私と同じでね。定年間
Both
近なんです
red?
よ。
No, it's all gonna be red because it's Rena's POV now. Oishi and I exchanged friendly words. A long cord trailed through the hallway from the teacher's office. That cord extended further to the phone on the podium in the classroom.
では本題に入りますね。まず最初にあなたが交渉人たる資格があるか確認します。
自信お伺いします。
大石さんは私の味方ですよね。
当然じゃないですか。あなたと私で園崎家の陰謀を暴こうじゃないですか。
Oishi answered without hesitation. Was he still my ally? Or was this sly detective just saying what I wanted to hear? Either way, I only had Oishi to depend on. If I couldn't trust him, I was stuck. There would be nothing else I could do.
圭一くんも一時期は私が言ってることを信じてくれなかったんだよね。でも今は信じるでしょ？
Keiichi-kun was sitting on the floor facing away from me, with his head resting in his hands.
今はもう私の仲間で味方だもんね。
ああ、そうだ。
Rena Ryugu asked Keiichi Marubara if he was her comrade, but I couldn't hear his voice. Was she trying to tell me that Keiichi Marubara was still alive or that he was being forced to obey her because of the hostages?
前原さんも竜宮さんの味方なんですね。心強いことです。でもあなたも一時期前原さんを少し疑われていたじゃないですか。
モデルガンの事件を聞いてなんて人だろうって思った。でも過去の事件で今を見損なっちゃいけない。それらを踏み台にして私たちはより良い理想の自分になれるように成長していかなくちゃならないんだから。
Why is it white now? Because it's Oishi's POV.
とてもいいことを言いますね。まさにその通りです。
だから私たちは許し合ったの。だから圭一くんのことを私はもう疑わない。圭一くんは仲間。
わかりました。ならばそれは私にとっても圭一くんは仲間ということですね。圭一くんに私がよろしくと言ってると伝えてください。
後で言って。
圭一くんにも新しい仲間としてご挨拶がしたいです。受話器に出てもらうことはできますか？
Conversation stopped suddenly. That made me nervous. Did I say something wrong?
いいよ。圭一くん、大石さんから電話だよ。
I heard some rattling and rustling on the other side of the phone.
もしもし、前原です。
He sounded monotone. Unable to disobey, Keiichi Marubara must have been pretending to follow Rena Ryugu's orders.
どうもどうも、前原さん。沖宮署の大石です。この度はお世話になります。お互い頑張りましょう。
はい、よろしくお願いします。
竜宮さんは今何をしてますか？
教室の中を歩いてますよ。
前原さん、イエスならはい、ノーなら A と相槌を打ってください。あなたは竜宮さんが何を要求しようとしているか知っていますか？
ええ。
That answer told me for sure. Keiichi Marubara wasn't Rena Ryugu's accomplice. There's no way Rena wouldn't tell her accomplice what she wanted for planning a hostage situation like this. How would he help someone who wouldn't even tell him what she wanted?
単刀直入にお聞きします。あなたは竜宮レナの味方？いえいえ、質問を変えます。あなたは竜宮レナに脅迫されて従っているふりをしている。
はい。
There you go. The other guys in the car listening in our conversation raised their fists in victory.
犯人は竜宮レナの一人だけ？
はい。
If she was the only suspect, then we could respond appropriately. I guess nobody else believed in Takano's scrapbooks. If so, my being fooled was even more embarrassing. As I thought about my next question, I heard the phone being taken away from Keiichi. Rena came back on the line.
ね、圭一くんは味方でしょ？
ねえ、そうでした。とても頼もしいですよ。
で、今度は大石さんが話してくれる番。前の電話で約束した園崎家関係への一斉捜査はどうですか？秘密の研究施設は発見できましたか？
I had to decide on what to say. Should I tell her that we conducted raids or not? Maybe she already knew we didn't raid. Maybe she was just testing
今
me.
ですね、県警の防隊と公安部で一斉捜査作戦を準備中なんです。何しろ市内全域を一斉にやりますからね。
遅すぎる！大石さん、私たちは今、獅子骨市が置かれている緊急的危機についてよく理解し合っているんじゃなかったでしたっけ？ 何をのんびりとしたこと。大石さん、本当に私の話を信じてくれているんですよね。私の味方なんですよね。味方ですよね。答えてください。
もちろんですとも。ですが警察組織ってやつは簡単じゃないんです。私も最大限努力をしてるんですよ。ただですね、やはり話の規模があまりに大きすぎるもので。
大石さん、私、奴らにどこかで毒を盛られました。富武さんにあの異常な死に方を強いた原子の力を持った寄生虫、あれをどこかで盛られたんです。昨日から痒くて仕方がない。もう私、首をかきむしりすぎて血まみれなんです。いつ錯乱して喉をかき破ってしまうかもわからないというのに、大石さんは何をもたもたと。
I knew it. Oishi didn't realize how dire the situation was. He understood there was some kind of conspiracy in Namizawa, but he didn't realize how soon their plan was going to be executed. Besides, I was already feeling itchy all over my body and was bound to soon die the same way as Tomitaka-san.
申し訳ないです。これでも頑張っているんです。ただですね、みんな言うんですよ。その証拠はないのかと。
証拠があればすぐに動いてくれるんですか？
Mio-san's scrapbooks. Maybe that was what I need to convince the police. I was afraid someone would destroy the evidence if I handed them over to Oishi-san, so I kept them with me. But I didn't have much longer to live. I might not even make it until tomorrow morning. That's right, I might be dead before tomorrow. I would die tonight.
わかりました。ミオさんのスクラップ帳をお渡しします。それでどうか他の警察の人たちを一刻も早く説得してください。
Bro, they're all just gonna laugh at it.
助かります。そのスクラップ帳をぜひ。
I looked through my backpack, which was lying by my feet. Mio-san's scrapbooks were in there.
これは私たちの切り札です。大石さん、くれぐれもいや、絶対によろしくお願いします。
わかりました。信頼してください。必ずや奴らの陰謀を暴いてみせます。
でも、まあ多分警察も組織だからそうなんだろうなとは思ってたんです。だからちょっと強引なやり方だけど、こんな形を取らせてもらったんです。大石さんは私に要求されて仕方なくやっているという言い訳ができるはず。なんとかこのチャンスを有効に生かしてください。
ありがとうございます。必ずやあなたの期待に添えるよう努力します。ではどうしましょう。私が受け取りに参りましょうか。
I knew she wouldn't let me into that classroom. She was still cautious. I could guess where Ren and Ryugu was going to take this thing, so I tried to stay ahead of her. I handed a memo with my instructions on it to a colleague.
さすがに私がこの場を離れるわけにはいかないので、代わりに圭一君に持って行かせます。
その方がいいかもしれません。やはりあなたが学校の外へ出れば、もしやということもあるかもしれませんので。
もしやって？
いえ、この騒ぎをもう園崎家も嗅ぎつけているでしょう。あなたがこういう手に打って出るとは思わなかったでしょうから、強引な手で口封じをしてくる可能性があります。
口封じ？それって
狙撃です。園崎家のヒットマンは多分あなたがこれ以上騒ぎを大きくする前に狙撃しようと企むでしょう。
Oishi's literally making it worse.
だからあなたは表に出ない方がいい。窓にも近づかないでください。さっきから何度か顔を出しているようですが、あれは危ない。そこを撃たれてしまいますよ。
ちょっと、周りには警察がいるんでしょ？そんなの未然に防げないんですか？
防げるなら防ぎます。ですがね、周りの視界が良すぎます。訓練を受けたものなら400メートルくらいはやすやすと狙撃するそうです。ましてやあなたもご存知の通り、園崎家の特攻隊は軍事訓練を受け、中でも暗殺技術に関しては特に習得しています。奴らは侮らないでください。園崎家の陰謀を暴くにはあなたの力がまだまだ必要なんです。
わかりました。忠告をありがとうございます。どうせ明日まで持たない命でも今終わらせるわけにはいきませんので。
そうですともそうですとも。いいですか。くれぐれも窓から顔を覗かせないでくださいよ。用心してください。
The phone conversation ended. Rena Ryugu was going to let Keiichi Marubar deliver the scrapbooks.
さっき書いたやつ用意できてますね。
OK です。うまく渡せますかね。
狙撃されるかもしれないと脅して、でもまあ見てるでしょうね。そこはうまくやります。
I roughly understood what was going on from the phone conversation.
じゃあケイチくん、これとても大切なスクラップ帳。園崎家の陰謀と奴らの侵略の証拠を暴く証拠。大石さんに渡してきてね。渡したらすぐに戻ってくるんだよ。見てるからね。変なことをしたら怒るからね。
Rena took out a couple of old scrapbooks from her backpack and gave them to me. Then she cast a sidelong glance at Mion.
みーちゃんにも後で話すよ。みーちゃんの家がどれほど恐ろしい陰謀を企んでいるかをね。
Bro, poor Mion has to hear one psychopath after another just go crazy about things that don't exist. First Shion and now Rena.
ひょっとするともう知ってるのかもしれないけどね。じゃあケイチくん、行ってきて。校庭の真ん中まででいいよ。余計な立ち話とかしちゃダメ。ケイチくんは持っていくだけだから無言。おしゃべり禁止だからね。おしゃべりしたら千恵先生なら T 定規で叩くけど、私なら
分かってるよ。無言で持っていくからそのナタを下ろせ。俺はレナの仲間だろ。仲間だったら信用しろな。
そうだね。仲間だから信用するよ。だから裏切らないでね。
Rena's eyes were telling me clearly. They were telling me she didn't trust me. But even in this stage, she also knew she shouldn't distrust her friends. Therefore, although she couldn't trust me, she was pretending to. That was why she didn't tie me up.
じゃあ行ってくる。すぐ戻るよ。
よろしくね。
I walked past my friends who were lying down on the floor and headed to the exit. I saw some of their faces as I passed. Some were fearful, some were sure that I'd use the opportunity to run, and some were scared that they died if I did. Don't worry guys, I won't let her even touch any of you. If Rena tries to do something, I'll stop her even if I have to risk my own life. Anyway, I'd do whatever it took to ensure that nobody died. I had to make sure Rena didn't get angry. I'd just wait for the right moment. I went down to the school entrance and changed my shoes and unlocked the door and stepped outside. I felt the fresh air on my skin. I saw the lights from the police cars. I could feel all the policemen looking at me. As soon as I was in the schoolyard, a little voice tried to tempt me. I was free from Rena now. If I ran off the school grounds, I'd be free. What was I thinking? If I did something like that, Rena would go crazy, and who knows what else she'd do. The important things here wasn't my safety, it was to make sure that Rena didn't kill anyone. I saw a big man coming towards me from the school gate. That was probably Oishi-san.
前原圭一さんですね。どうもどうも。沖宮市の大石です。クラちゃんと呼んでくださっても。
すみません。レナから何も喋らずにこれを渡せって言われてます。だから無言でこれを受け取ってください。
わかりました。それが問題のスクラップ帳ですね。お預かりします。
I tried to hand the scrapbooks to Oishi-san, but he stepped aside a little. Confused as to what he was doing, I changed my position and handed them to him again. He took them at a time. And at that point, Oishi put something that was under his jacket into my pocket. A taser?
大丈夫です。校舎はあなたの背中ですから、竜宮さんが窓から見てたとしても、今のやりとりは見えていません。
何なんですかこれは。
I couldn't look into my pocket because I didn't want Rena to suspect anything, but whatever it was pretty heavy for its size.
あなたへのメモもあります。教室へ戻る途中で竜宮さんに見つからないようにこっそり読んでください。では、そのまま戻って。これ以上は不信がられます。
I just followed its directions. I was worried Rena had begun to suspect something. When I looked at the classroom, the curtains were closed, but that didn't mean she wasn't peeking out through a crack. I went back to the entrance and locked the door. If Rena checked and found the door unlocked, it could cause more trouble. Rena was in the classroom. There was no way she'd come down this way. She was alone. If she left the classroom, everyone would get up and run. They couldn't run because Rena was there, but they were all waiting for their chance. The entrance then was Rena's blind spot. As I changed my shoes, I quickly removed what Oishi had put into my pocket. There was a radio with an earpiece, and something else that looked like a short police baton. There was also a folded piece of paper. I opened the piece of paper and saw a note written in small print. Dear Mahabara-kun, please hide the bug in your pocket. It picks up even a low voice, so you can use it to get in touch with me. By using the earphone, you can hear me in return. There's also a spray for self-protection. It sprays as far as 1 meter. Make sure you aim for the face. This must be the spray. I guess it's safe to try it here. I held down the button and gas sprayed out from the nozzle. Compared to Rena's hatchet, this required some caution, but it's small enough to fit inside of my hand. It was reassuring that I could hide it so easily. In other words, it was now possible for me to stop Rena. As I realized all my classmates' fates rested on my shoulder, I felt sweat form on my face. The memo continued, spray is just for self-defensive purposes. Pepper spray only impairs eyesight, and while it makes your enemy powerless due to extreme pain and coughing for at least 30 minutes, it's not powerful enough to render them unconscious. Therefore, please don't forget there is a possibility that your enemy may fight back desperately in panic. This spray is your last resort. Please don't depend on it, but if you need to, make sure to use it. Oishi. Is he telling me to use it or not? It's probably one of those grown-up issues. If the cops entrusted me solely with the fate of the hostages and I failed, they'd be held liable. So while he gave me a weapon, he made me consider its use. I hid the bug and the spray in my pockets and went back to the classroom. I felt a little dizzy, maybe because I was nervous. I was simply following Rena's orders because I had no other choice. That was why I wasn't scared. But things were different from before. I had a weapon. I was in a far better position, but my heart was pounding. Humans are so strange. Shit. What am I going to do? What should I do, Keiichi Mahabara? Did I want to fight Rena? The memo said the spray only reaches as far as 1 meter. 1 meter? That was basically a hand-to-hand battle. That meant I only had one opportunity. I didn't have a second chance. The memo also said I'd need to aim for her face. That wasn't gonna be easy. Shit. Besides, Rena was cautious. How could I stand directly in front of her within 1 meter? But that's what I'd have to do if I was to have any chance of winning. Rena would do anything to achieve her goal or reach her goal. She wouldn't even hesitate to kill. Just like how I didn't. Of course, things were already extremely serious. An apology definitely wouldn't be enough. But at least there hasn't been any casualties. The more time passed, the more irritated Rena would get. She might demand something again, and she might kill someone that time to show how serious she was. Bad things had already taken place, but a tragedy hadn't occurred yet. But it was almost here. It wasn't very far at all. When I closed my eyes, I could easily picture Rena killing one classmate after another. After I killed Rena and Mion, my room was covered in blood. She killed 20 people. The classroom would be a pool of it. If that happened, she still wouldn't realize she was being delusional. She would rip out her own throat and die. That would be too big of a cross for her to carry, and one day she'd remember and be saddened. And she didn't need to go through that. I didn't want Rena to go through what I had to go through. Shit, I felt dizzy. This was a very long hallway. I didn't know the classroom was so far. With each step I took, my determination to fight Rena became stronger. Rena would be shocked to realize I betrayed her. But if she couldn't wake up from the nightmare on her own, someone else would have to wake her up. And her friends needed to be the ones to do that.
おかえり、ケイチ君。大石さん、何か言ってた？
なんだ?
As soon as I stepped into the classroom, I smelled something. Everyone had moved on to one corner of the classroom. The smell reminded me of a gas station. Was it gasoline? I saw a red gasoline container by Rena's feet. The cap was open. It was seemingly sturdy and made of metal. It said gasoline on the side, written in felt marker. She must have spread it across the entire classroom. The smell was almost giving me a headache. No, it wasn't just in the classroom. The classmates were soaked in gasoline too. How could she? I see, this was just like a hijacker holding a bomb. If the police were to rush in, she would burn the hostages. I didn't know where she got it, but she had a lighter in her left hand.
Rena, これはどういう真似だよ?
もちろんやらないよ。万が一の時の保険なの。私だって大好きなみんなのバーベキューなんて見たくだから冗談で済んでほしいって思ってる。
Brenda showed off the lighter. Obviously, she was trying to threaten me. I've heard about people committing suicide by setting themselves on fire. They pour gasoline on themselves and light it ablaze. You might think that if it was extinguished right away, it wouldn't be that bad, but human skin is supposedly very delicate. And they said that even 30% of a person's skin gets burned, it's enough to be fatal. If it was your entire body, it would result in death for sure. I've been put in a disadvantageous position. My weapon might take Rena's sight, but I couldn't stop her from using the lighter. She'd probably use it the moment she's attacked. I didn't know if she realized it, but the kind of lighter she had would keep burning until the lid was closed. Therefore, all she'd have to do was light it and drop it onto the floor. In other words, my spray can wouldn't make Rena powerless at all. The last resort Oishi gave me had lost all its power.
保険なんて大丈夫だろう。大石さんはスクラップ帳があればきっと警察を納得させられる。そうなればあとは一斉捜査で奴らの陰謀が暴ける。そうなんだろう。
あのスクラップ帳だけで本当に動いてくれるかな。お役所ってのはお尻の重いところだそうだからね。
Rena was thinking that if she didn't see any progress with the scrapbook, she'd pressure the police by letting them know about the gasoline.
とりあえずは大石さんを信じよう。あとは家宝を待つだけだろ。
そうだね。じゃあさっきの話の続きをするかな。それでね、その寄生虫は長い時間を経るうちに徐々に無害になっていったの。でもそれでは面白くない人たちがいた。それがひなみ沢御三家なの。だから彼らは。
Rena was simply telling everyone what she heard from Takano-san. Started mumbling so I could let Oishi-san know what was going on.
すごい匂いだよな。ガソリンをポリタンク丸々ぶちまけるとすごいもんだ。
Pretending to mumble to myself so I could only say it very quietly. I wished I could say it louder, but that was probably impossible. I wasn't sure if Oishi-san could hear me. I thought of an idea to find out whether or not they could hear me.
車のクラクション聞きたいな。
くまちゃん、クラクション一発。
ガソリンとは参ったっすね。これでさっきからなんとなく感じてた匂いの正体が分かりました。多分この後の要求を押し通すための切り札にするつもりでしょうね。
くまちゃん、普通の若い子がポリタンクって言い方をしたら18リットル入りのあれですよね。
さあ、多分。
小宮山君、営林署の人まだ返してないですよね。ちょっと呼んでもらえます？なるほどね。携行缶にはちゃんとガソリンと明記してあると、灯油のポリタンクにも灯油とちゃんと書いてある？
はい、中身を間違えたら大変ですから、すべての燃料容器にはちゃんと明記してあります。
Not too many people know this, but regular portable tanks can't hold gasoline. Gasoline, while common, is extremely flammable and can be lit even with static electricity. Therefore, gasoline must be kept in special metal containers. Those are called carrying cans.
じゃあ前原さんがガソリンって言ったのは間違いなくガソリンなわけだ。携行缶は何リットルのサイズのがあったんですか
？18リットル用と5リットル用の2種類があったと記憶してます。
5リットル用って多分。
ええ、真っ赤で平たくて。
前原圭一はポリタンク18リットルの方でしょうか。
あるいは見慣れない形だったんで、とりあえず適当な言葉が思いつかずポリタンクという言い方をしたのかもしれない。でもどのみち本当にガソリンだとしたらかなり危険なことになります。
Gasoline burns when lit, but what's an even bigger threat than liquid gasoline are the fumes. When gasoline fumes are lit on fire, they explode. Also, gasoline evaporates easily even at freezing temperatures. It evaporates. And so, in other words, inside the closed classrooms, the fumes would fill the entire space. The classroom would then become a bomb itself.
くまちゃん、危険物第4類とかわかる？
いえ、気化ガソリンが危険だってことは理解してるんですが、詳しいことまでは。
18リットルと5リットルで最悪の場合どの程度規模が違うか調べときたいな。そうだ、じじいに聞いてみよう。署に連絡して鑑識のじい様がいるか聞いてみて。
おお、犯人に直接謎リーチ一発振り込みドカーンってとこ。
裏まで乗っちゃって大変なことになってます。そのドカンってのが実に笑えないですな。ところですいません、危険物の第4種はお持ちで？
おつよんかここにいる人間全員足せば公主じゃぞい。どうしたガソリンでも。
まさにそのようです。人質の一人に盗聴器を持たせてるんですが、どうも犯人は教室内にガソリンをまいたようなんです。ただまいた量が18リットル缶か5リットル缶かは分かりません。両方のケースのですね、最悪の場合について教室の広さはだいたい50平米ですね。
室内は密閉か？
おそらくさぞやガソリン臭いだろうと思います。
おいしまずいぞい。
やっぱり
教室は粉々に吹っ飛ぶぞい。
Oh shit。
教室内はまず全員死ぬな。
そりゃ18リットルの場合ですか？
アホ、5リットルの場合じゃ。わしの記憶がボケてないなら 1.8 メートルの室内を吹き飛ばすのに4リットルもあれば十分だったはずじゃ。
The policeman listened to the conversation on the side went pale. 8 by 8 meters meant a room that was 64 square meters. Only 4 liters are needed to blow that up, and at least 5 liters were scattered in a 50 square meter room.
つまりお釣りが来るってことですね。嫌なリーチだな。じゃあ聞きたくはないんですが、18リットルだったら
そうだのう。大石風に例えると親のリーチ一発ピンフ単よ。
どういう意味っすか？
親の倍満2万4000、配給減点が2万5000点だから
そんなところだのう。柱一本くらい。
そりゃあ振り込みたくないリーチだな。ね
今のうちに消防署に連絡して化学車両を待機させた方がいいだろうのう。事件解決後の処理は消防の指示を仰ぐ必要があるぞい。
参ったな。こいつは盗聴情報なんで消防車を呼び寄せたらバレちまうな。なんとか学校から見えないところに待機させましょ
う。それがいいの。あとそれから大石
ねえ、さっき人質の一人と接触で、その際にガソリン散布はそれで分かったんですよ。
まずいの。化学火災の事例で発火原因に電子機器のランプの点灯があったはずだぞい。ガソリンの発火点は300度程度。火花はおろか静電気でも着火して爆発する。
冗談じゃない。なんだってそんな危険な液体がこうも簡単に世の中にあるんですかね。
知るか。消防法と自動車社会を作った連中に言え。6月だからのそう空気も乾燥しとらんとは思うが、とにかく万が一に備えて盗聴器の電源を切らせた方がいいだろうの。
大石さん、盗聴器で聞く限り犯人はライターを所持している模様です。
ってことはつまり前原さんがスプレーを使って静止しようとしても着火までは防げない可能性が大ってわけだ。しかも盗聴器まで使えなくなるとは。なんてこった。
大石、ライターはまずいぞ。冗談でもいじらせてはならん。犯人もガソリンの危険性を認知しとらん可能性がある。量を聞く限りとても知識があるとは思えんぞ。
Oishi's back was covered with cold sweat. He never even thought this would turn into such a serious matter. He didn't know how dangerous gasoline was. He didn't know because he'd never heard of cars exploding in car accidents. He knew it was dangerous, but he didn't know what it was capable of. Gasoline is more dangerous once it evaporates. Therefore, a burning car in an accident and gasoline fumes being ignited are at completely different levels. It's quite simple to understand if you think about how car engines work. Cars vaporize gasoline in the carburetor and let it explode in the engine cylinders. In other words, that little explosion in the engine is what gives cars the power to move. Therefore, if you want more power, an engine needs to be bigger to create a bigger explosion. So if an engine cylinder was the size of a classroom, how much power would it create? Anyone with knowledge of engines would know. But a lot of people don't consider how dangerous evaporated gasoline is, because it's too familiar. 25 hostages and 1 hostage taker, all 26 people were basically stuck in a huge bomb. Furthermore, the suspect might actually set it off. If she were to pretend to light the lighter as a threat, that would be the end. All of the people around Oishi had gone pale. The classroom might explode at any moment. How could they save all the hostages? Especially when the criminal was living in her own delusion and her requests were something so unreal.
先ほど受け取ったスクラップ帳の中に犯人からと思われる文書が見つかりました。
One of the policemen brought over a folded piece of paper, opened it while the others watched. He saw girlish handwriting on the paper. He could tell this was written before she invaded the school. Dear Oishi-sama, if you are reading this letter, that means I'm at the final stage. I must have seized the school and held the students as hostages. I'm planning to appoint you as a negotiator, so please pretend to be threatened by me and become my contact with the outside. The first thing I want to tell you is that my enemy is the Sonozaki family and also the aliens who are pretending to be parasites that control the Sonozaki. Oh god, bro, this fucking...
宇宙人?
I didn't think you'd believe me if I brought up the aliens, so I didn't tell you about them until now. But when you read these scrapbooks, you will understand. The aliens came to Earth in UFOs in ancient times. They landed in Onigofuchi Swamp. They used this village as their breeding grounds. And through that selective breeding, they widened their domain. They were successful, and now they're trying to invade the Earth.
なんだこりゃ。
All the other policemen frowned at the letter.
いやいや、驚きませんよ。高野の他のスクラップ帳も読みましたが、個人的にはオッシーが面白かったな。
Sonozaki family, as well as the village authorities, have been brainwashed by the aliens. The villagers' attempts to revive the cult of Oyashiro-sama were actually part of the alien strategy to invade the Earth. The aliens are very clever. They don't let people realize they're being controlled. The Idiot Clinic must be their secret research center. Please conduct an investigation and expose their secret. Also, please check out the bottom of the swamp. The UFO must still be there. Also, capture all the relatives of the 3 families and take x-rays of their brains. You'll find hideous parasites inside of them. But please be careful. The aliens eliminate whoever finds out about them by replacing their host with a lookalike. That's how they have been controlling the village. Therefore, there may be already some aliens among the villagers. It is possible that they will try to interfere with your investigation. As a matter of fact, there have been lookalikes of Mio Takano, Rika Furude, and me, Rena Ryugu. If you see any of those 3, capture them immediately. That will be the proof of aliens existing among us.
高野美代? どうしてでしょうね。
ああ、あれだ。俺さ、彼女との電話で岐阜県警さんの検視で1日ズレがあったかもしれないですよって。
ああ、検視結果のミスの話ですか。
それで私、祭りの日には死んでたはずなのにどうしていたのかななんてことを言っちゃったんです。それをこういう風に解釈するとはな。
Oh my fucking god.
ふざけ半分で脅しすぎたかな。
自分の名前が含まれてるのも奇妙ですね。鏡に映ったのでも見間違えたとか。
One of the policemen spoke up. He was one of the pair who searched the garbage dump that night.
これは俺、ほら、竜宮レナを探し回ったあれだよ。あれは多分。で、それを本人がどこかで聞いて、自分がもう一つ。
さったり、ノストラダムスだっけ？あれの大予言と同じですね。何が起こっても予言に含まれるように解釈しちまう。今の竜宮レナは箸が転んだって宇宙人の仕業だって言い出すぞ。
あるいはいずれ捕まることを予見して精神鑑定で有利になる資料を先に用意したとか。
そんなことあの子は考えてないよ。あの子は本気で信じてる。いや、本気の本気で。コロッと生かされた私だ。彼女は本気で信じてるんだ。
あ、まだ。何々？
P.S. I was poisoned yesterday with the same stuff that killed Toмотaka-san. I've been scratching my throat since then. I'll probably have clawed my throat open by tomorrow. If you can find the antidote when you investigate the idiot clinic, please bring it to me.
これは。
ですね。本気で宇宙人の話を真に受けてるなら、解毒剤だと言えばうまく騙せるかも。
Wait, true. But you may not find the antidote, or maybe it'll be too late by the time you do. Therefore, considering the time I have left, I will set 7 p.m. tonight as a deadline. If an investigation doesn't take place and the antidote doesn't arrive by 7 p.m., I will choose to die with all the hostages by lighting the gasoline instead.
19時今何時だ
18時前です。
Oh my god. It doesn't get dark even in the evenings. It'll probably start to get dark around 7
あと
p.m.
1時間か。いや、1時間を待たずに火遊びで大爆発するかも。くそ、どうすりゃいい。
何が地球侵略と戦うだ。それに人質を巻き込むなんてめちゃくちゃだ。
めちゃくちゃなんです。今の彼女にはまともな交渉なんか通用し、しかも本人は冷静だと思ってる分だけ立ちが悪い。
おいさ。
何
I'm planning to spread gasoline throughout the classroom. I'm sure you realize how dangerous this is. If anyone suggests storming into the room, please tell them exactly how bad an idea that would be. Also, the hostages are anchored down with U-shaped bike locks. Even if those alien policemen rushed in and killed me, they'd have to cut each lock. But if you tried cutting them, you might create sparks. Therefore, you need to completely ventilate the room first. In other words, it will take an extremely long time to rescue all the hostages from the classroom. Actually, I have different explosive systems set up other than the gasoline I spread. It's a very simple time bomb using gasoline and kitchen timer. The kitchen timer provides electricity at a set time. I rip the tip off its plug so it will create enough sparks to ignite the gasoline. I've already set the timer to 7 p.m. Even if I'm not around, there will be an explosion at that time. If the classroom isn't ventilated by that time, it'll explode too. I'm sorry to ask you like this, Oishi-san, but please help me so we can avoid a tragedy. Please let the 3 families know that Mion Sonozaki, the successor to the head of the Sonozaki family, and Rika Furude, a mascot, are in this classroom. If anyone from the 3 families helps you, I'm sure their conspiracy will be exposed tonight. The alien invasion is going to happen very soon. Please get going quickly to my ally, Oishi-san. Rena Ryugu. Oishi threw the scrapbooks to the ground.
何が味方だ。
キッチンタイマーって目覚まし時計みたいなもんですか？
ああ、昔の炊飯器とかにはタイマーがついてないものも多かったんですよ。それでね、コンセント穴のついたキッチンタイマーって名前の目覚まし時計がありましてね。そのコンセントに炊飯器を挿しておけば、仕掛けた時刻に自動的に電源が供給されて、指定時刻に炊飯器が電源オンにできるって代物です。
へえ、そりゃ便利そうですね。
確かにそれを流用すれば次元発火装置なんて簡単にでっち上げられる。キッチンタイマーってあたりが女の子っぽくて。
電力会社に頼んで、コード式なら電力がなければ無力化できます。ああ、教室が真っ暗になるのと同時にライターをつけるに。
やっぱり解毒剤指向性ですよ。多分自身に使う前に人質に試すはずです。注意してください。
了解です。手配します。
あと前原さんともう一度話したいな。竜宮レナが間違ってライターをいじらないようにうまくなだめてもらわないと。あと盗聴器もオフにさせないといけません。盗聴器はどう？面白いことは拾いましたか？
犯人が人質に危害を加えている模様です。
なんて。
どうも園崎美代に対してのようです。
やめろレナ。
Rena kept hitting Mion, who had her hands tied behind her back. Rena wasn't using her fist, but instead the handle of her hatchet.
ケイイチ君はそこの壁から動かない約束だよ。
Is where we're gonna stop today, Chad. Yes, sir. That's where we gotta wrap. My family's literally waiting to eat lunch. They're like asking me when I'm gonna finish. So, I will see y'all tomorrow where we pick this back up. Yes, sir. You legit cucked us? Hey, listen, it's not cucking. It's just, you know, we got to a spicy part. Now you can look forward to it even more tomorrow. Yes, sir. All right, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thank you guys for hanging out. You better do this in another chapter tomorrow.